Alright, for sake of continuity, I'm gonna pick it up here from the VAB. We are proceeding with episode 6, which is going to be collecting the remaining science to get to 90, unlocking those upgrades, and we're going to move right forward with some upgraded shipbuilding. So this is going to be a lot focused on ship structuring. I will spend a brief time out collecting science. I'll skip forward through that. You don't need to watch all that, so I'll just move forward past and show that I'm doing that, and then come back with the 90 and we'll move forward from there. I think that's a good plan. So I'll, of course, start with a credit. I gotta always do that. That's the mod credit. CKAN installed, stock scaled, so I can get the same kind of experience as the stock version, which is what I know and was my level coming into this. So not sure if I'm ready for some of the challenges a bigger mass would present, so I'm going to keep it simple and just experience it with the science build. This is the credit. If you want to install it the same way, credit to BallisticFox and the team and the mod authors, including Parallax, Scatter, the EVE that I did for the clouds as well. All definitely support them. Go check out the mods. It's very cool, easy to install for the most part. So that's that. And I'll make sure to get rid of this, which I don't usually do, and we'll keep it going. So I'm picking it up in the VAB. This is the makeshifter. I just made this kind of to jump around the facility and get any science I can to get to 90. We're at 70 right now with science, so this is a cheap way to kind of do that and get over the hump to get the poodle and the skipper, which I really want to get to move forward. So I got all my science equipment. I got a communicator, got some batteries. I don't know if I'm charging any electricity though. That's what I need next is electronics. So I'll just be limited to what it has, and I'll have to retrieve any science that it has. It might be even smarter to go manned for this, really. I can see the difference, but I'll just see if I can get 20. I don't need to really do it any further than that. So if I fast forward here and post edits, that's why I'm just going to kind of do this and launch and get this done. Alright, well, things went absolutely out of control during that little speed through session there, but the job was accomplished and the science was attained and the unlocks were gotten there. So I do have the poodle and the skipper, and I've begun construction on a Lunar Explorer vessel, a ship that'll carry us to the moon, hopefully. Just for sake of redundancy, I skipped all that building stuff. You've already seen me talk about DV and stuff and thrust to weight, so you know all that stuff. And this is kind of what I did, so I'll just recap it. It's just a basic, standard size at the top at the upper stage, and I put a terrier there, similar to before with the science attached this time, so I can get that. And then Rockomax adapter, and down here we got a little bit more oomph with the skipper, and that's got some fuel and these big kickbacks as boosters to get that thrust over that one that we need at sea level. And vacuum, we're in pretty good shape with 7,500 DV. So that should carry us to orbit and then some, based on what we've done before. So that's where we're going to get started here. And I'm going to save that, and we're going to launch. Figured I needed to get things going, so I moved through that little science attainment that I needed to do. Let's get our setup going here. 1.3 at sea level is not the best, but it'll get the job done, I think, to get to orbit. Plenty of DV, and as long as it stays steady up here, I feel good about it. It might be a little wobbly. This is weird, and it's ugly for sure, but I don't have protective shell up here. I could eventually get that and cover this to make it look nicer, but we're just gonna go. Well, the one thing is these radial detachments, maybe somebody can help me with that, is it always just doesn't work, so for me. They never detach properly, no matter what I do. Alright, we're watching for 100 ms, and we're tilting. Staying pretty solid so far. right at the edge of prograde to drag it over. Try to get towards 10 degrees. And stay right on that 90 line, and we're going east. That's why I'm going in that direction. I never really covered that. I'm trying to match the orbit of the Earth and get a little bump from that. I was over 2 by a little bit, so I wasted a bit of fuel there already. Yeah, that's good. Get it back there. Start moving more. That's right there. This doesn't work. I'll get up to speed. Staying right on the line. So it's not wobbling on me. That's good. I'm going to try to get this to orbit and then see what kind of maneuvers we need to do to get to Luna. I'd like to get this over 1 as soon as possible because, as you see, we're not really moving very fast, increasing our velocity, which we need to get to orbit. And I want to still gain altitude here and keep this around 30 seconds if I can. You see it's kind of steady right there at 34. So that's what I'm kind of looking at during these launch profiles. And this isn't the best. I'm not an expert at the launches either. I do usually get out there, but I'm really trying to hit those benchmarks. And Earth might be a little different too. Maybe this is a little more happening there. But I want to climb this over 70, and then I want to circularize is what I'm going for here. We're in good shape so far. I can maybe even afford to come over a little bit more. Not too much. Always lightly touching. I'm going to actually decrease and see how the apoapse time reacts to that. If it decreases a little bit, which it is, so push it up a little bit more. And we're going to keep coming over as I increase altitude. I'd like to ideally stay at least 90 degree right here until I climb enough where I'm satisfied with my apoapsis. You see I'm kind of decreasing here, which is okay right now, but if that goes any closer, I'm going to start thinking about increasing throttle. I got a lot of fuel here in this stage, so I'm in really good shape. This is going to level off as I get further out, and I'm transitioning right now also into the outer space portion of the program here. But my apoapse is still kind of counting down towards 0, so I got to be mindful of that. Close to 70 here, so start moving it over. I'm past 45,000 meters too, so I think I can maybe climb my speed and move towards horizontal prograde here. Get this over 70. I like to avoid using any of this stage if I can. And that could all be used for transburns towards Luna. And we're getting close here towards the 70, and I'm feeling good about it. So timer is going up. You notice now it's counting up a little bit, so I can decrease speed here to keep it steady. I want to keep it right around 30. My apoapse is climbing ever so steadily. I like that. And move over more. Getting close to leveling off here, so just a little bit. Get horizontal speed going, because that's circularization. When I say that, it means, you know, relative to the Earth, I'm going to burn horizontal towards prograde, and then I'm going to flatten out that circle out here so I get a stable orbit. And I'm over 70 now, so I feel pretty solid there. I'm going to decrease speed here and maintain as much DV as I can while still moving towards periapse and keeping this steady around 30. When I decrease speed, it'll count down a little bit more because I'm approaching my apoapsis at less speed. More speed, it'll move the apoapsis out further, so that's how you kind of keep this steady. You see my speed's moving up even though I'm throttled down with the same engine. It's increasing a little bit faster because I'm out further. There's less resistance. Or no resistance, really. That's why I can be under that 1 and still be moving forward. Alright, this is pretty good. A little faster here. Move towards horizontal. I'm getting towards 80. I feel very good about 80. Flattening out at 80. The horizontal speed kicking here. I'd like to drag this down a little bit towards middle. Right on that line, if I can. And my periapse is moving a little bit better here, and it's climbing back up towards 30 with that increase in throttle, so looking pretty solid. It's a weird ship, but it's working. Now it's going fast with that upwards countdown because I'm getting close to an orbital velocity here. I'm gonna throttle down. See, it's still climbing up even though I'm way throttled down, so I can afford even just a feather of an increase here. And as it passes 30, I'll continue to feather it up and down and manage it like that. And we should be right around what we need to get to orbit and detach this and have all this stage right up here to move around. Go to Luna, hopefully. So this was a pretty efficient build engineering-wise to accomplish my goal. I mean, my launch profiles are not always the best, but not really allowing me to drag this. So I'm just going to point towards prograde. And I'm going to try to get this even at about 80 if I can. That's at 10, so I'm going to increase speed. The camera's going to wobble a little bit there. That feels good. Right about there. So I should be in an orbit at over 70, I'm assuming that, but I'm going to still feather this to get a little closer to even. I'll give you guys some better angles here. What's happening? And I'm going to try to feather it by increasing throttle very close to the approach to apoapse, which is what this indicates here, time to reach. As I get past 10, you'll see an increase. I'm going to try to keep it real smooth here. Yeah, got a nice countdown at an increase. That's good. Ever so closer to 80. Real nice. Controlled burn here. Right as I reach it, it should cross. Oh. Not quite perfectly circled because I got the 0.8 there separating, but I'm very comfortable with that. 80-80. And a beautiful view. So good executed launch there with our vessel. Didn't really need to use a maneuver node there, which is always good. Getting used to the Earth launches. And look at that. How about that? We'll take a look at that flyby here. Let me just actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, pointed toward prograde. Stability is on. I do have a smidge of fuel, so I might as well use that in my transburn to Luna. Yep, that's pretty solid. So we got our science, we got our engine upgrades, some adapter upgrades, and fuel tank upgrades with that little excursion through the space center that I got some science upgrades with, and that allowed me to get this ship in orbit with a little more. I sacrificed the weight. Sometimes I just go straight with this size all the way through, but I didn't want to overbuild it. I'm going to detach this all. This already should have been detached, but I'm going to detach this big part here. That's what this is going to do, and then Terrier is going to take us to our next destination. Very cool. Alright, so let's zoom out and we'll see what's going on. I'm going to be making my maneuver here. And you can already see this is the first time we've kind of backed out of Earth's direct view here. And we see, instead of Mon and Minmus, we just see Luna here. And a little icon to highlight it there, so that's cool. Make sure I am in orbit, which I am. At about 80. That is decreasing though, huh? I wonder what that's about. Is it pulling me in at 80, I wonder? I might need to get out of here sooner than later. If that's, I feel like that should be a steady number. Right? This is steady, right? Alright, I feel like we're alright here. See, that's cool detail. Wow. Really, really cool detail there. I'm glad I caught that. Really cool. Up here. But we're going to be graduating from Earth views very shortly. Really cool view of the surface there, kind of descending into the ocean. Awesome. Alright, so back to what we were doing, which is getting an encounter with Luna. I'm going to set it as my target, which is going to bring up some new information for us, including this ascending node and descending node, which shows us our angle, orbital angle there that Luna is on compared to that of which I'm on. So I'm going to have to correct that. And that could have been better avoided by a better launch. Doing that during the launch would help me get that closer to 0, but I can correct it here, and I'll use some of that fuel that I have left to do so. So at the ascending node, I'm going to make a maneuver. Keep this information up so I can see it. I'm going to pull to get this towards 0. I think this is anti-normal is what they call it. As you can see, the numbers going down. That's what I want. I don't know why it disappeared there. I want that number to go down and be at 0. And I'll split this up probably and make the burn the next beginning of the next episode, but we'll get this all set up proper. I'm just moving it now to get it back towards 0. Because I overdid it a little bit, so now we're moving back towards 0. Yeah. There we go. So you gotta play with it a little bit, but eventually you want to get that node at 0 with your maneuver. That's quite a bit of DV to correct that, so I might not make it all the way there. It might be just a flyby. But I'll start it without 100, I'll detach, and we'll use that to correct. I'll definitely consider that. I don't know if Earth is pulling me that way a little more, or if it's just my launch that I'm doing. I need to get that a little bit more stable. Not be the inclination be tilted like that. That's causing me a lot of unnecessary burn. Alright, so we're going to get pointed towards the maneuver node. I'm moving so slowly towards it because I have so much mass going on here. But I do have comms. Yeah, we're going to a nice anti-normal position here. As you can see, its maneuvers lined up right in that area because that's the direction I'm going to be going. So most of the maneuvers that you'll make will be either this or this. Sometimes I play with the radio when I'm doing a transplanetary burn just to get it corrected. That's more a corrective thing. To get your, like, you know, outward angle a little bit better. come on the front or far side, preferably of, you know, whichever way you're trying to go. That's what that's kind of for there. But these is what you'll be mainly doing. And then I'm looking here at the burn time, 1:40, which is a ton. Now this is a huge burn. So I'm going to try to split that and go. Going to be about 50 seconds there. My math is right. So at 50 seconds to the node, I'm going to hit full and just burn until I get to 0 on that. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see what my time is. I could probably split it right there. That'll be a good place to cut it. And we'll come back with the next episode, which will be Translunar Burn. Perhaps a flyby. We'll see how much fuel we have left. Perhaps a capture into orbit. I don't know. And then maybe we'll go save him later with some stuff we unlock. We'll see what we're going to do when we get out there. I'm kind of evaluating fuel as we go, and we'll see where we're at. But good to be with you, and we're continuing our playthrough next time. Kerbal Science.